All right, folks, so this week our course was Old White Golf Course, the TPC course at the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Ultimately, I'd like to keep this review short because I think this is, of the many courses that I reviewed, this course is worth a short review at best. Let me just say, I guess we'll skip everything about a golf course that you normally care about and start from a clean slate, okay? What is the most important thing that you care about for a golf course? And then think about what are the top 3 things that you think about for a golf course. And then think of maybe the 1 or 2 qualifiers that you would consider giving a golf course a pass on one of the first 3 things, the top 3 things, if it didn't have 1 or 2 or even 3 of those things. For instance, I'm sure there are a lot of people who will play a course that is very close to their house, despite the fact that it's not interesting, not a good value. They've played it a million times. And even if, say, it's just a noisy environment and the staff is rude, let's just say, off the top of my head, maybe the first 5 things I would consider. So I will tell you off the top of this review that I rate this course as a D course. And it is one of the very few courses that I rate as a D course. I think maybe one other course I've rated as a D course. So this course is a solid D course. There are a number of people who've listened to my reviews and have said that I tend to bunch everything up into B pluses. That's because I do find a lot of courses to be quite good, decent golf, not the world's best golf, certainly not, let's say, something I'd get on a plane and travel a day to stay in the area and play the course. But certainly I would go back and play the course again. I'd enjoy playing it. I'd look forward to playing it, and so forth and so on. The Old White TPC course is not one of those courses. In probably every category that I would rate a golf course, it is substandard or not acceptable, except for one I thought it was pretty good at. The staff there was really nice, very friendly, very helpful. The facilities were nice. It's the first time I've ever played at a course where there there was a gentleman in attendance and so forth, and that was a pretty unique thing for me. So it's let's just say, considering that it's one of the few courses that I've rated as a D course, it is definitely the other side of that when it comes to the support and helpfulness and attitude and friendliness and just general all-around niceness of the staff there. So in any case, no matter what I rate it, I still would give them a B plus A in that category. And I think that if you're going to go to the Greenbrier Resort and experience the resort aspect of the Greenbrier, meaning you go there, it's a sort of half laid back, half country club, half Southern Charm, half Disney World, in 1920s kind of facility, where there's a lot of different activities and things that you can do there besides play golf, and it's a good family place to go visit. But unfortunately, it is also really expensive. And I'm sure that there are other places that you could go to that would be more expensive, St. Moritz or Monaco, Newport News, Montauk, whatever. I'm sure you could go to other places and spend a lot more money than you would spend at the Greenbrier, okay? But considering the vast majority of golf courses that I've played a lot of different courses. The vast majority of those courses were under $200 around. I can't think of one course that I have played that was over $200 for a round with 18 holes and a cart. This course was a minimum $333 to play it. Twilight. It's an additional $75 to play, on the weekends during regular hours. It is $500 to play with the mandatory 4-caddy that you're supposed to get, but luckily when I went out there to play, they didn't actually book a 4-caddy because it was the 4th of July. They didn't actually arrange a 4-caddy, so I was able to save $75 plus the tips or whatever to the 4-caddy for that, which is good because I could not even imagine why you would need a caddy a guide of any sort for this course. I was able to get a cart. I just rolled around the course. I played the course. It was decent. It's a slope 143 course from the back tees, and I would say it was close. 135, 140-ish kind of course, maybe, kind of, maybe, sort of. I certainly would say at least 135, but that doesn't mean I need a caddy to play the course. And this would have been the first time that I've ever played a course where there's a mandatory caddy, and luckily I didn't actually have to have one or pay for one. This course, sad to say, is little more than a flat neighborhood woods course. It's not even really woods. There are trees on the course. It's not like a woods course normally you play, like there's a lane of trees on the left and a lane of trees on the right. It's just trees, sparsely populated out there. Probably the first hole is the most burdened with trees, but the other holes, there's just maybe a couple of trees here and a couple of trees there and a couple of trees there. Maybe every 50 yards or so, there's a small group of trees, bushes, tall trees, and so forth. There's one hole that actually has significant rough around the green, so it has a fair number of trees on the course. It is basically a flat section of land. First nine is more or less square. The second nine is more or less rectangular. It's more like, I'd say three times you play down 3 holes and come back 3 holes to the clubhouse, with a couple of holes thrown in there in the middle, par 3s. It is a exercise. It's like going to the gym versus going on safari or going on a hike or something like that. Plains of Africa or the forests of the Amazon, things like that, where you might need to use those physical skills that you developed in the gym. This is much more of a gym type course. You don't get the impression that it's like living in the Amazon rainforest or fighting during the War of Roses or something, where you could actually use all this beef and strength and agility and balance, like for CrossFit, endurance and so forth, for CrossFit or for weightlifting and so forth, or jiu-jitsu or whatever you studied in your gym class, boxing. No, it is a gym compared to the real life kind of thing that I have experienced in several other area golf courses more to the east. This one is it's just an anomaly. It really is an anomaly. It is a golf course that costs you about $400 to play it. Even if you go there and stay at the resort with a minimum 2-day stay, it's still $275 to get on the course. You still have to get a caddy before 3 o'clock. It's just not cheap. So that's one thing. The second thing is it's not much of a course. It is a decently entertaining neighborhood course, but no more than a neighborhood course. It's definitely not a good course. It's definitely not a great course. It's just serviceable. Not to belittle it, but again, it's definitely not a great course. A third thing, the activities that they have at the Greenbrier are numerous, and a lot of them involve outdoor activities like horseback riding. There's a carriage ride, Segway ride, things of that nature. But there's also people that live in the neighborhood, and those people also do things like bicycle or go running or so forth around the area. And the area essentially is connected in many ways by the golf course trails. And so you will go out there and see a lot of people walking, running, riding horses, bicycling, segwaying out there on carriage ride or something like that on the cart trail. And they're just nonchalantly doing whatever they do. I think one time on the 15th or 16th tee box, a group of 6 people on horseback decided to stop and let me actually tee off. And then I had 3 more people, 50 feet from the tee box who, I sat there, watched my tee ball, and they're like, wow, great shot. And I was like, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so yeah, you go down and finish the hole, and it's just like a social club. Everybody's nice, everybody's polite, but basically they're out there on the golf course, which I think most, if not every golfer would rather there would not be people walking and running around the golf course while they're trying to play. And I am certainly one of those people. And I definitely don't want to pay $400 to play a course and have to share that course with people strolling around. Also, part of the course on the old white TPC runs by several rows of houses, or some houses in succession, that are not very far off the course. There's OB marked fairly clearly off the cart path, maybe about 10, 15 yards off the cart path in some places, and then there's somebody's house another 20 yards back beyond the OB on some approaches in the greens. Also in some tee boxes, the houses are certainly, maybe 100 yards back behind fairway, but if you hit a bad shot off the tee, that 100 yards gets covered pretty damn quick. Shot that I hit, a drive on number 4, where the club just spun right out of my hands, and the ball took a nice curve and bounced 90 degrees towards the house, hit the rocks, bounced through their yard where they had no obstructions, unfortunately. Then I hear this thunk off the side of their house, and I was like, God damn it. And the house is fairly far back. I mean, it was back there. It was well off. It was a definitely bad drive, well off. So that was one problem. Houses behind the greens in several occasions. Houses on the approach shots to the greens several occasions. It just had a lot of houses for even a neighborhood woods course. It still had a lot of, they were all like 1, 2, or 3 story houses, separate houses, but there were still a lot of houses. I mean, it was not something where you are out there and there's like one house per hole, or maybe 2 houses per hole. No, it was several houses per hole. It was as bad as it could have been in that regard, except for the fact that the houses did not come literally up to the green, as I've seen in a couple of courses. But they were not all that far back. And certainly when you have a house that's big enough, it doesn't need to be really close to be obnoxious. And certainly when there are people out there on their yard or on their balcony, whatever, talking, they don't need to talk really loud when there's nothing between you and them, but maybe 50 yards of space. And you can hear pretty much everything they're saying while you're trying to play. So on several levels, it wasn't a good course to play. It was, at best, okay on several levels, at best. But when you throw the price of this course in to play, it's just ridiculous. There's nothing good about an average course, at best average course, that cost 2 to 3 times the good courses that you've played before. That did not have any of these problems. So that did not have any of these problems that were actually interesting, fun to play out there, chilling and enjoying around, pretty much by yourself. So old white TPC, pretty much a D course. I don't know what the TPC was about it, except for the fact that people they've had tour tournaments for the past 90 years. Great, they had tour tournaments. Arnold Palmer used to play there, so forth and so on. That doesn't make it a great course. It's far from the only course that I've played that Arnold Palmer played on, where you look at the course and go, at best. I can think of at least 2 other courses like that. Having history is great if you're a historian or a fan of history. Whistling Straits is not a great golf course because it's historical. Torrey Pines, not a great golf course because it's the oldest public golf course in California. That doesn't make it a great golf course. And I think that's an important distinction, is you should be wary of places that charge these outrageous amounts of money to play, because half of the reason they're trying to get away with that is because it's a historical golf course, okay? Or because it's a Trump, facility. It's not a good facility or a good place to go play golf because somebody wants to throw a legend on it, okay? So D course, trust me, take my word on it. There is another course there called the Greenbrier. The Greenbrier is a 135 slip course. It runs mostly down next to I-64, even more than old white TPC does. However, maybe it's a better course, less houses, whatever, than old white TPC. I would just say you will pay slightly less to play the Greenbrier than you will to play old white. Okay, I think it's like $75 cheaper to play it. So that would make it a minimum $250 course to play. Plus, either you stay there for 2 nights at $350 a night minimum. It's just ridiculous to pay that kind of money to play courses of this caliber. Not even worth $100 to play, much less $250, $300, $400. Ridiculous. I'm giving it a D. Okay. I certainly see this course as an upgrade to courses like your neighborhood muni, which is some basic rundown, half taken care of, crappy place with crappy greens and crappy fairways and crappy rough and whatever. But it's there like Falls Road in Potomac or things like that. I don't know. You can look up Falls Road if you want to. It's not anywhere near that bad, but it's not good either. It's just okay at best. Okay, I certainly wouldn't mind playing it again, but there's no way in hell I'm going to go down there and play it again for that price. It's just not going to happen. Now, I have heard that they're going to have the West Virginia Amateur there in a week or so, and I thought about going in there for that, but you have to register and get involved in that and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that might be kind of fun to try if it's not too expensive, but if I have to pay $500 to get on it, forget it. No way. Old White TPC D course.